Stand well away from the edge of platform.
Mä en tiedä ottaako se mitään kuvia. Chin chin. Chin.
Tässä vaiheessa vettä.
No, vähän väriä olisi, mutta mä uskon, että se on sitäkin parempaa.
Tulee, on se varmaan maistuu hyvältä.
Kaikilla on nyt kamerat kädessä.
Kuka on taas erilainen nuori, kun yhden kuvan ottaa tällä reissulla. Sen jälkeen jo yöpaidoissa. Joo, sekin hotelli.
En mä tiedä mitä tää tekee. Tää varmaan nyt ottaa kuvia, että hei.
Pitääkin 14 vastaan 16 koko ajan. Se vaan naureskelee.
Ottaa tuo Mervin lasi pois edestä, että näkee tuon sen hienon annoksen.
Joo.
Ihan hienon ja pienen.
Hieno. Ihana.
Toi on information. Tuuli tulkoviin.
Cheers.
Wonderful lions. Now, 3 architects came together to design that wonderful statue, or should I say artist. The lions there are by a gentleman called Edwin Landseer. The column that you can see is by William Railton, and as we pass through these lights you'll get to see Nelson on top of that column. He is designed by E.H. Bayeux. Now I'll start with the lions as they're what we can see. The column itself arrived in 1843, but those lions took a further 25 years to appear, and they sent that over to Edwin Landseer's studio, and he was able then to complete the beautiful lions that you see today. And as you can see, they are extremely popular with adults and children having their photographs taken at the base there. Now, the lions are sculpted from the cannon from Nelson's decommissioned fleet, and the bas reliefs that you see at the base of the column there depict Nelson's 4 victories in battle. So the Battle of the Nile, the Battle of St. Vincent, the bombardment of Copenhagen, and the Battle of Trafalgar. A wide boulevard that will take you straight in front of Her Majesty's home and office, and that is Buckingham Palace. Now, very shortly, coming up on your left-hand side, you're going to see our visitor centre. Consider this your home from home while you're in town. If there's anything you need, tickets for out of town, maybe on a coach trip to Windsor or Stonehenge, discounted theatre tickets, any of the attractions that you see today you want tickets for, come down here, speak to a member of our staff, and they'll be able to sort that out for you. The roofs to the Royal Mews. Now, the Queen's Royal Mews is the finest working mews in London, and you want to be looking for the Union flags flying outside of the building. That is the Goring Hotel, and that is where Kate Middleton spent her last night as a single lady before marrying Prince William. Now we're going to turn to our right, but if you just look to your left on the side of the Rubens Hotel there, you can see another one of those living walls.
Living wall.
And they've just replanted that central section there. World War would be brought to Victoria Station to take a train down to the coastal areas to cross overseas to fight in that war. Straight over these lights, and you're going to see that we've done a form of circle. We've landed right back to where the Queen's Mews was, or the Royal Mews, and it's at this time I do like to tell you it is tradition in London that no double-decker bus drives directly in front of Her Majesty's Palace. We do have a stop that is about 30 seconds away, 3, depending if you want to sprint, and you can come off and you can walk round in front of that beautiful building, and then we will get to see the entrance of the Royal Mews. Lambeth Bridge on the opposite side of the river, you'll see those old buildings to the left. Now that is the wonderful Lambeth Palace. That has to be my favourite palace in London. It's home of the Archbishops of Canterbury. If anybody would like to come off and have a look around this area, there's some wonderful architecture for you to see. Anybody for this stop? No, I do believe, Peter, everyone is going to stay with us. We're just going to let some more people join us and then we'll be on our way. Now, so much to say here. On our right hand side we can see the wonderful Victoria Tower there. That's part of the Houses of Parliament where our laws are passed. It's a two-chamber parliament. The Victoria Tower there houses the Sovereign's Gate, and you'll get to see that as we pass. Now, the Gothic style that you see there was rebuilt in 1834 after the original Palace of Westminster burned down. Now, it is one of the oldest palaces in London, and the Gothic architecture you see there was rebuilt by Charles Barry and Augustus Pugin. Now, this section here, as well as housing the Sovereign's entrance, is also closer to the House of Lords. But if you just look very quickly in front and to your left, you can see the latest edition of Westminster Abbey there. That is the Henry VII Chapel. Now, I say latest edition, it was built in the 16th. There it is, you can see the much simpler architecture there. That is Oliver Cromwell looking over at the back of St Margaret's Church there, which is the parish church to the Members of Parliament at the head of Charles I. Charles I, the only King of England to be executed, was executed at the hands of Oliver Cromwell. Now, St Margaret's Church has been there since the 12th century, and once we pass around, you're going to get to see the wonderful Westminster Abbey, where 38 of our kings and queens have had their coronation. Our first king to be crowned in that abbey was William the Conqueror in 1066, and our current queen had her coronation in that building in 1953. Only two kings have not been crowned in there. Edward V, one of the boys that disappeared from the tower along with his brother during the reign of Richard III, and Edward VIII, who abdicated to marry Wallis Simpson. Now, we can just get to see now the wonderful Big Ben. Now, no matter what part of the world you come from, I'm sure you all call this Big Ben. Try to ignore the London Eye if you can. I promise we'll get you a much better picture of that. As we get halfway across here, I'd like you to look back and you'll get a wonderful view of all of the towers and a riverside view, and we'll get you a better picture of that London Eye very shortly. Now, Big Ben, by the way, rang out on the first time on the 31st of May 1859. Cruise? No? No, Peter, they're all staying, they're not going.
Ihmisistä kuvia.
Sorry, Malcolm was fantastic.
But in the archway up there are all the names of the men that worked on the railways and lost their life in the First World War. They're engraved, and it's also the area where Sir Winston Churchill's funeral procession passed. Degree angle to your left, and once you're at that 90-degree angle, then just tilt your camera slightly as though it's saying 10 to 12. You will get to see the London Eye in the centre of, Big Ben in the centre of the London Eye. Don't forget 10 to 12, very important. So, kind of that way.
10 to 12.
There it is.
Then
Now that blue structure came up recently, I do apologise, let's just say you get 3 for the price of 2 there.
Kaijakin siihen samalla.
Wonderful, thank you, Peter. Now don't put those cameras away because we're crossing over the Waterloo Bridge. This used to be called the Strand Bridge, by the way. It's the longest bridge to span the River Thames. And that's because when we come out at the other side, we'll actually be crossing you over the Strand. That side of London only 1,000 years old. But on your right hand side, the one that Malcolm's going to be taking you into is 2,000 years old. Now we're going to pass Somerset House here on our right. That's where we could have once got a copy of our birth certificate. Now, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your tour. You will absolutely love Malcolm, I promise you.
We're just passing now with his hands behind his back. Air Field Marshal Arthur Harris, he was in charge of bomber command during the Second World War. Dictionary. Even modern dictionaries are based on his now. On the left-hand side, this is Bell Yard. This is where Mrs. Lovett had her pie shop.
Pie shop.
On the left-hand side, this is the old Bank of England. Today it is the Ale and Pie House. And ahead of us on the left, we pass the passageway. It was in that area where Sweeney Todd had his barber shop. Some poor unfortunate for going to Sweeney Todd for a haircut disappeared through a trapdoor and reappeared in a meat pie in Mrs. Lovett's pie shop. Here we are. This is the alleyway here on your left. But the Ale and Pie House to this day specialise in meat pies. They're quite delicious. I can recommend them. Although I must admit they do taste a bit strange every now and then. It's what we get used to. I'm not talking about horse meat now. It's a long way to Tipperary. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you it is not a long way to Tipperary at all. It's just across the road on the right hand side. The Red Pub. Here it is, Tipperary. On the left hand side, this black fronted pub on the left, the old Cheshire Cheese. Charles Dickens used to own that pub. Mark Twain, when he came over, used to own that pub. Oliver Goldsmith, who wrote The Vicar of Wakefield. His great play, She Stoops to Conquer. Samuel Johnson. Voltaire, Oscar Wilde. Amazing.
Where's the Cheshire Cheese?
People used to go there. The pub was originally built in the year 1538, but sadly burnt down. Now this St Paul's was built after the Great Fire of London. The St Paul's that was here before that was 100 feet taller and 100 feet longer than this one. With the Great Fire of London of 1666, that burnt down. So Christopher Wren was asked to rebuild it.
Trees growing.
Well, put up a new one and he put this one up. This took 35 years to complete this building. This man was so busy he did not have time to die. Sometimes it's not a bad thing for your country to be invaded by a highly superior culture. It's very traumatic for the people at the time, but the Romans brought us things we had never dreamt of. But if you've got Lord Mayor of the City of London on your CV, it's worth a fortune. On the left-hand side across the road is the Bank of England. You'll notice there are no windows on the ground floor level. If we were to turn this bus on its side, it would not be as thick as many of those walls. Behind the walls we keep our gold reserve. Straight ahead of us where you see the columns, this is the old Royal Exchange. They no longer deal in stocks and shares here. If you go in there, you can buy a tea or a coffee. You can't just go up and buy it though and sit down and drink it. You have to sit at a nice table which is covered with tablecloth. A very smart waiter will come up, take your order, deliver your tea and charge you £4. By the time you give them a pound tip, £5 for a cup of tea. You want to make sure you stay there all day. Take a good book or something, get value for it. Now here we are in the City of London. There's no greater city on the planet Earth than London. And yet, two cars, if you look to your right, cannot pass each other up and down these streets.
Purkkurakennuksella heillä.
This is all because of the Great Fire of London of 1666. The fire began because of a baker who evidently didn't make sure the fire was out before he went home for the night. Then look to your right, see how narrow the streets are? And when he went home, of course, the fire hadn't been put out properly and some embers from the fire fell onto the wooden floor, ignited and started a fire.
King
Tell you more
William
about that
Street.
building you just finished. If you look to your left, here's the monument to the Great Fire.
Waitrose. There's
Friday night,
Waitrose.
you can see the people making their way home on the bridge to our left. The pavement on the left is much wider than the pavement on the right.
Ei.
Because that's the...
En mä Seulun haastattelu, kun se oli semmonen nikun...
No niin.
Ei.
Tätä tarkoitan.
To the left of that bus, you see the guillotine. Little green car by the side of it. It's a really nasty tour. Well, horrific sort of tour. Some people like it. It's very horrific. Having taken a good many of these Jack the Ripper tours, I happened to sit on the bus one day. Nobody really knew who Jack the Ripper was. The little boy sitting by the side of me said, well, if you don't know who he was, how do you know his name? Can't get away that easy from those sort of question. Well, his name wasn't Jack. The reason why they call him Jack the Ripper is because a letter was sent to the Central News Agency, which was like Reuters. It's known as the Dear Boss letter. It starts off, Dear Boss, this is yours truly, Jack the Ripper. P.S. Don't mind using my train. This is our stop for the boat cruise. And the Tower of London, if anyone's looking after this stuff. No one coming down.
Tässä varmaan joku rakennusmies tuli patsasta.
Alhaalla lukee joku kyltti, mutta siitä ei saa enää selvää.
Otan kuvia tosta tornista Ienillä.